What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 3! Alright, this time around we're going to have two fights in the same episode because we're going to have to do a defend chapter, which is the first time we've seen this since Basara 1, actually. This usually only happens maybe once per campaign, if it happens. And we're just going to have to hold out for a few minutes. It really doesn't take very long at all, and we can move on with the next proper chapter, which I'll try to squeeze in the same video. So I'm going to adjust my setup really quick for Magoichi, give her a different accessory that's going to compensate for the lack of defense provided by her weapon. That's a pretty good stat increase, honestly. That's usually all that I care about. I don't care about things that give me more money. I don't think that's especially relevant. And on that note, let's go ahead and change our ally here. So we have Motochika, like I said, and we have another Chosokabe member who has something to do with machinery. We'll go ahead and equip him. We have all of our arts unlocked, so let's go ahead and begin. So this is going to be pretty easy for the most part. Now we have a couple of command posts we need to protect. Essentially, if the enemy captures all of them, we lose. And you're going to see on the map where the occupational chiefs are going to spawn in as they try to march forward towards your command post to capture them. So obviously those are our highest priority targets. We want to get rid of those guys as fast as possible. And I'm pretty sure this is the same map regardless of who you're playing as. If you have to do a defend chapter, it's exactly the same. It's just protect the generic headquarters, which can be the same no matter who you're playing as, I believe. So you can see here on the map you have the little icons that represent the enemies moving around, which are very similar to the blocks that generals would actually use to sort of strategize their battles way back in the day. So it's like a little historically accurate nod there. We see this a lot in different animes and adaptations that are set in the Sengoku era. And we can see the occupational chiefs are a larger icon that's sort of hollow in the center, and that's how we can tell the difference. They also have like a massive flag they're carrying around. It's like some fan thing, like it's a spear, but it's also a fan. It's kind of ridiculous, but ridiculous is what Basara is all about, as we've established.
What will it take?
So you may be wondering, why am I uploading a video on a Wednesday? And the reason being is that I'm actually off work today. We had a little bit of snow down here in Georgia, and a little bit of snow apparently is enough to get my boss to cancel the class I was teaching this week, which means I don't have to go to work, which is fine by me. It gives me an opportunity to just kind of relax and catch up on some things, although the next 2 days of class are definitely going to be a lot more intense because I'm going to have to compact 3 days worth of content into 2 days. But it's fine. It'll make it to where I'm not bored on Friday or anything at work. So, anyway, so on that note, I managed to get a little bit of gaming done today. I have test playing Gundam Federation vs. Zeon, which is going to be the Let's Play whenever the test playing is done for that. The game is quite a bit longer than I was expecting it to be. It has quite a few different modes. For a 2001 game and basically a launch title for the PS2, that game has a lot of content. I'm actually really happy with it, and it actually plays pretty well on there's a little bonus extra for that. So if we're going to receive they're going to receive some enemy reinforcements here. But if the enemy does capture our initial command post there, we have to fall back to our fortress. That's fine. We can capture them back. It's no problem. I may actually have to do that now. I went and captured that camp up there in the far corner. But if they take these, unfortunately the bridges are going to drop and the enemies are going to start coming across the drawbridges, and there's really nothing we can do about that. So we may have to just fall back. I like to push forward and recapture those points as well afterwards. And as you can see, there are 3 points, one over there on the hill to the east, and then the two in the there's one in the center, one on the west that the enemies are coming from, and you can capture those as well to give you a little bit of an advantage. But ultimately, it just doesn't give you much room to maneuver. So I usually like to just leave those in the hands of the enemy and just kind of hold up down here and allow things to kind of funnel in towards me. Usually works out better that way. These are definitely a lot more strategic. Oh crap! Somebody slipped through. Come back here, you bastard. He's going straight for my my home base here. He is not playing around. He tried to score a goal, but we had a good defense. Yeah, definitely a lot more strategic and a lot more fun than the Defend chapters in Basara 1. Although I do have good memories of doing the Defend chapters in Basara 1 as Lady Nohime, and here we are, we've come full circle. We're doing a Defend chapter in Basara 3 with another gun user, Magoichi. You can see on the map now where the bridge is turned red and it's visible on the mini-map. So the enemies are all going to start funneling in towards the center there. So if they capture that, it's game over. But we luckily still have our forts out here in the, you know, where the battleground is actually taking place. So we should be fine. Some ninjas have come in here, which they can, I guess, transmute themselves into a block of wood to get away from us. Never really seen that be any use to them, but it happens. It's also never really stated which faction is attacking us. They're kind of just indiscriminate, you know, black armored soldiers that don't really represent a particular faction that's attacking us. It actually would be interesting if it was a particular faction that was attacking us, or if these conquest modes worked like they did in, let's say, the Galactic Conquest in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the old Star Wars Battlefront 2, where, you know, an enemy faction could move on any of your occupied planets. So, for instance, in this game, they could move on any of your occupied territories. I feel like that would be really cool, especially because, you know, as those enemies start capturing other territories, you start getting to the point where, you know, you have two factions that control the majority of the entire country, and that's what it looked like in Basara 1. I played a little bit of the Conquest mode in Basara 2, but Basara 2 just has so much content in the campaign, it really wasn't worth wasting a whole lot of time on that. But this is Basara 3's only real mode, aside from just free play mode. I managed to combine heavy story elements into the Conquest mode, which I think is brilliant. But the linear stories of Basara 2 and Two Heroes definitely have their place, and they have a lot of replayability, I feel like, as well. Alright, we managed to successfully defend our castle like we knew we would. We fight. So let's move on to the proper fight we're going to be enduring this chapter. I should have checked to see who the other option we had was there, but we're going to go after Tsurihime, the Oracle, and maybe she will join us this time. No, she always joins the Eastern Army no matter what.
This is my sea, and I will protect it!
Huh, nice sexy pose there. I guess I just need to leave Magoichi to idle for a little bit when we first come into the stage. Pike formation? That's nothing. That's pretty awesome. So I don't know if this is the second or third time we have done this stage for Tsurihime. Although, I do really enjoy this stage, full disclosure, and then also, it's a little bittersweet seeing it now with Magoichi, considering they were just allies at the end of Mitsunare's campaign by the time Sekigahara rolled around. But that was inevitable, I suppose. This is definitely the stage where I feel like we really get to demonstrate Magoichi's gameplay and the way that her combos sort of flow together. But I will definitely be using the rocket launcher to blow away enemy defensive formations before I even get to them. That's one of the benefits of having that range.
My shipmates are much stronger than they look.
Goodbye. It seems that the Saika faction are quite feared. What a pleasing thought.
I really want to know if it's possible on this stage to do enough damage to Tsurihime to not progress to the next part of the battle, because I'm pretty much certain it's not, but I'm going to try it here. We'll see what happens. I know what her tricks are, of course, this time around, because we've done this like 2 or 3 times already, but yeah, like I know that in spite of what it says on the map there, I know that that is not the entirety of this stage, that it's only going to continue once you have dealt a certain amount of damage to her. There we go, we use the aerial attack with the shotgun, which really I could use a lot more than I do. At least I'm not so heavily... It's because her ground combos actually work, I'm not as inclined to use the jumping attacks like I am with Lady no Hime, because Lady no Hime is really squishy if you're not careful, and she's pretty susceptible to damage from melee enemies on the ground. So that's why her jumping and shooting was so important when I played as her in Basara 1. But I was also playing on the hardest difficulty in Basara 1, so I was making sure to constantly be dealing out damage and avoid taking any hits from any enemies, because in Basara 1, had I taken any hits as her, I wouldn't have lasted very long at all. I was trying to get ahead of myself there, but I can't actually cross that bridge until we defeat the captain there.
Someday soon, I will see him again. The man who swooped down from the skies and saved me. I would greatly appreciate any help in finding him. Will you help? I do so wish to see him again.
She's got quite the twinkle in her eye there.
Guess what? The Western Army is asking.
Well, let's see what's better, a magic bow or some guns. Who would win?
Not too long ago, the sacred tree was...
Yeah, it is unfortunate that she can't actually hit us at range. It honestly kind of makes characters like Mitsunari that are faster and can kind of get her in a position where she can't defend herself. They kind of work better against fighting Tsurihime than Magoichi does, where they're essentially just taking pot shots at each other with ranged weapons. That being said, this is not going to be too much of a challenge, but there are a lot of other enemies that have sort of shown up to gang up on us that we're going to have to deal with. Man, that rising kick there with the machine gun is such a great move. Trying to stay a little bit on the defensive because I'm kind of getting my ass kicked there. If I can group everybody together, I'll use my Basara attack. There we go. Should be good enough.
Quickly, and then we'll finish it.
Our ally's kind of going all out too. Can we just talk about his ridiculous hat as well? Like, what are you even wearing on top of your head?
Oracle, you may return to your chamber and be silent.
So, other than playing Gundam Federation vs. Zeon, I was also I've started uploading the Zoids vs. Let's Play, which is that's going to be pretty short, so I wouldn't worry too much about that hindering the upload schedule for this game, because obviously I want to finish this game and Dragon Quest Heroes on schedule. But that Let's Play is only going to be about 9 or 10 videos long. It's going to be pretty short. Me and Michelle are still trying to get through our visual novels. We streamed 4 hours of Danganronpa 2 last night just to get through Chapter 5, and I am really glad to have it done, because I was just groaning the whole time like I am ready for this game to end. It's not that it's a bad game, I'm really, really loving it, but it's just, I don't like a Let's Play that's taken over a year to make, and I definitely don't like a, you know, a visual novel that I'm playing blind and I can't always provide good commentary for it, especially when, you know, you're streaming it live and little things can go wrong. I have a little bit of footage ready to go for Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. I will probably start that after one of my current series finishes. But what I may decide to do, I think I've mentioned this before, I may just decide to do that as a live stream after,
There is no future.
maybe not even a live stream, but at least a live commentary. Maybe a live stream, probably a live stream, there's no reason why it can't be, but at least a live commentary, because there's only a couple of things I think I need to make sure I'm on point about. So, yeah, I think it'll go by a lot faster that way. And I'll be able to react to things happening in the game. And it'll honestly be a somewhat blind run because I've only played the Japanese Vita version, so little cutscene dialogue things and little aspects of the story are going to be fresh for me in the game, seeing how they've done those little mission prep screens where you read about what's happening in the story, because obviously I know the story from the manga, but to be able to actually read that and see what they put in the game is going to be interesting. Looks like we're fighting more of those channeler enemies again, those guys with the weird mop weapons that create the dark magic that slows us down. Not terribly threatening in this stage, mainly because this stage doesn't rely on them, there's only a handful of them. It's not like some of the other enemies that rely exclusively on them, or like even Sekigahara if you're fighting against the Western Army. Not to mention we still have that zombie guy to fight as well, which we'll be fighting as soon as we get to play as Masamune.
You certainly are
Very soon. We're almost at the end of Magoichi's campaign, and it's been so much fun. I love playing as her. I love that we finally have gotten to talk about her character and show her off here in a mainline game in the series. I'm looking forward to bringing her back in Basara 4 as well. Pretty much every character I'm playing as here in Basara 3, I want them to return in Basara 4 in some capacity. Which is probably going to make Basara 4 a very long Let's Play. As far as I know, Magoichi is also playable in Basara Sanada Yukimura-den after you've completed the main story campaign, because that game actually does have Sanada Yukimura-den kind of went back to the linear story, and as soon as you beat the linear story, you have a crap ton of characters you can play as in Conquest mode.
Hey, don't push! You're the one who's supposed to go first!
But being that I haven't really played Sanada Yukimura-den very much yet, I don't know what they've done as far as the engine goes, because obviously they tweaked the Basara 3 engine a little bit for 4. 4 looks a little bit better and has some better sound design. And then, it's the same engine for Sumeragi and all that, but really it's Sanada Yukimura-den is the first really major change, so I don't know if it's going to be a new engine or what.
It was a grave mistake.
So this area over here, you can see the glowing areas on the ground where those arrows just come shooting out of those towers on the side there. I never really understood, logistically how that works. Is there just a shit ton of archers in there? Is it something mechanical? What is actually happening in the game world when that happens? Also, these guys trying to throw kegs at us is pretty funny. Alright, Tsurihime, you've wasted enough of our time as it is.
Well, little crane, what is it that you wish to do?
Let's be done with this.
I really can't make up my mind. Oh, what to do?
Think hard. Look closely. You're too young to have the wisdom.
There's quite a bit of knockback there from the machine gun. Even though she's blocking, she continues to get pushed back further and further, which is not necessarily what I wanted. I kind of wanted to be able to use the pistol, especially now that I'm using my Fury Drive. I can kind of damage juggle her with the pistol a little bit and just kind of keep the pressure on where she can't really react to it. She does have a full Basara gauge, and I can put... Oh boy, here we go. I could potentially just get savaged by this attack, as I appear to be doing now. Of course, I'm just going to counter with my own. She managed to get my gauge up high enough. Even though it doesn't look like I'll be able to do any damage to her with my Basara attack, at least it will give me invulnerability while she is unleashing her, so I can just survive it at least.
I'm leaving this one all up to you.
Just leave it to us!
Tsurihime definitely suffers from the dilemma of how do we handle an archer type character in a Musou game? Like how do we do that? In Fire Emblem Warriors, it's pretty awkward because they're not especially good against regular enemies, and their weapon effectiveness against flyers is so broken that it's actually kind of ridiculous. But I'll be showing that off hopefully soon enough when we get around to that game.